Hi guys, this is Neil. So today I want to talk about mindfulness. A few years ago, I wrote a column on this, and I'll link to it down below the video here. But I started the column off with a poem by Robbie Burns called "To a Mouse," and it's about the time where Robbie was out plowing a field, and his plow overturned a mouse's nest and sent the mouse and her family scattering across the field, and their whole idyllic existence, their whole peaceful neighborhood was totally disrupted, destroyed, and they went running for their lives. And of course, Robbie, being the sensitive soul that he was quite upset by this, and he took to writing a poem about the whole thing. And it's a pretty famous poem. I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but what got me thinking really about mindfulness in this context and its application to how we conduct our daily business in the world, in the vocation that we're following, whatever it is. It's the last verse of this poem, which I am going to read to you right now, and you'll forgive me if I don't do proper justice to the Scottish dialect, because I am from the north of England, not Scotland. But here we go. Last verse of To a Mouse from Robbie Burns goes like this. It goes, "Still, thou art blessed compared with me. The present only toucheth thee. But ock I backward cast my ee on prospects drear, and forward, though I cannot see, I guess and fear." What he's saying here is that he's actually envious of the mouse, despite the fact that he's destroyed her house and home. He's quite envious because, as an animal, she lives totally in the present. And as a human being, he lives in the past and in the future as well as the present. And he says, he looks forward sometimes with worry, with foreboding to the future. And he often casts his eye backward and thinks about and worries about what happened in the past, things he should have said, didn't say, shouldn't have said, didn't do, shouldn't have done, etc. And I think we're all quite familiar with this. And when you think about it, it is an evolutionary success in terms of how humans can have three eyes, if you like: the eye that looks forward, and the eye that looks backward, and the one that's in the present. And certainly thinking about the future and planning for the future is a very human thing. It's what's enabled much of capitalism to flourish, and many great increases. Many of the great increases in standard of living that this has brought. Investors have money today that they don't need until the future. They give it to a business that invests and creates value and creates growth with that money, that the investor at some point down the road, when he needs it, will get it back. And so that ability to transfer consumption for a given person from the present to the future is extremely valuable, right? And similarly, looking backwards. Looking backwards is not necessarily a bad thing. It's how we learn. We think about what's happened in the past and apply that to what we're doing today in the future. Putting your hand on a hot stove, you remember that something that happened in the past informs you for the present and for the future. And when you think about it, that past, that sort of that foundation of learning, if you like, is just a whole lot of thin strips of the present, right? The present experience that you're laying down, and that forms part of your education, your learning, your personality, your identity. So I'm not saying that living in the past, or certainly looking in the past and looking to the future, are bad things. But what they do, and this is what Robbie's saying, is what they do is, well, a couple of things. They do create stress, and they do that by provoking a distraction from what is happening in the present, right? And I think we've all experienced this, right, in our personal as well as professional lives. If you've tried, and I bring this illustration forward actually in the piece, which I said I'm going to link to, and that if you've got a pet, if you've got a dog especially, and we've lived with dogs for over 30 years, you've got a dog, they live 100% in the present, in the now. If you're playing with a dog, you're tossing a ball, whatever, tugging on a piece of rope, you're trying to do that while, looking at your emails, checking out your phone. There's just an incredible contrast there. I mean, the dog is like totally there, totally focused, totally engaged in that ball, that piece of rope, whatever it is. And you're kind of, you're in two places, three places at once. And there's just an incredible sort of contrast there. And I think that, that, applying mindfulness, being in the present, being engaged very thoughtfully, very intentionally is absolutely critical for learning and critical for progress. Another example, if you've ever tried talking to a child, this is really a terrible thing. And I think we've probably all done it, right? While scrolling your phone or checking an email. I mean, the tension there, the contrast, the stress is just incredible, and so just like putting that attention where it should be, I think, is extremely critical. And so what we're going to do, and the reason I bring this whole thing up and going back to that article, is what we're going to do at our conference, our Surfacant Conference in May, is we're going to start the thing off with a mindfulness session, a session which is intended to kind of prepare you mentally and even physically to really focus, to really live in the moment, not just when you're taking in the content that's being presented by the various papers and discussion panels and so forth. Not only that, but I would argue even more importantly, when you are networking, meeting people in the coffee break, in the lunch break, breakfast, whatever it happens to be, the networking reception at the end of the first day. When you're meeting someone, you're engaged, you're focused, you're listening to what they have to say. You're not thinking ahead to what you're going to say. You're not thinking in the past to what you said to that other guy, that other time, about that other thing, or what you shouldn't have said. No, you're there just kind of pitching and catching at a very high level, pitching and catching ideas, thoughts, back and forth, totally in the present. And I think that, that way you really get the most out of the experience. We always tell our guys, our attendees, do what you came for, right? That's all we ask. You paid your money, you dedicated the time, you took the airplane flight, whatever, the train ride to get here. Pay attention, be focused, be in the moment, and that way you're going to get the absolute most out of what you came to do, to do the deals, to meet the new companies, to learn about the new technology, whatever it might happen to be. That mindfulness is super important. Forget the phone, turn it off, put it away. So what we're going to do is we're going to have that first session in the conference. It's not going to be me playing rock music this time, like it has for the past 14 years. The rock music session is number 2 on the agenda now, so don't worry, we're still getting that. The very first session is a mindfulness session. I think it's billed as a kind of an optional session. It's not optional. It's totally compulsory. If you miss this, you are going to miss the whole point of getting the most, the absolute maximum. Sorry, just hit the mic there. Getting the absolute maximum out of the event. So, we're going to prepare ourselves, really think about bringing our whole self, right? The whole engagement. When you think about it, these like companies like Facebook and Apple and Google, why are they so valuable? It's not that they're taking your time, that they are taking your attention. They're sucking your attention in. That's the most valuable thing that you own, right? It is the most valuable thing that you have to put somewhere, to give to someone, or to give to a thing, right? And so be very thoughtful about that. Think about what you do with that, because as I said, it's so valuable. And once it's gone, right? You can say, oh, let me wind the tape back and sort of reattend to that thing I was kind of not focused on because I was distracted about the text that just came in. Forget the text. I mean, when you're there, you're paying attention, you're learning, you're getting the most out of it. I guarantee if we do that, we're going to perform at a level, I think, far above the norm. So anyway, I'm going to link to this article. It talks about, Robbie Burns and the dogs and being in the now and in the present. There's one other thing I just want to highlight because, this is not just me riffing. I've done a little bit of research on this mindfulness idea and its impact on business performance. There's a AI tool. It's available for free. It's called Consensus AI, CONCESUS, Consensus, something like that. Anyway, American spelling. Consensus AI. Check it out. There's a free version. Its knowledge base is academic papers, and so you can query it, and which I did, anything really, but I said, what is the role of mindfulness in business outcomes? It pulled 14 recent academic papers on that subject and kind of synthesized the results. And not surprisingly, I'm going to read it here. It says in summary of all the papers, it says in summary, these studies suggest that mindfulness can improve business outcomes for managers by reducing stress, clearly, enhancing attention, obviously, and job satisfaction, improving leadership skills, and positively affecting workplace performance and decision making. So this is not just me riffing on mindfulness. And then it goes on to kind of pick bullet points from each of the papers which are relevant. There's a couple of great ones here. Where is it? There's a classic. Mindfulness is positively associated with leadership performance, including self-mastery and organizational transformation, particularly beneficial for leaders with lower number of years in the job. Self-mastery, I love that one. If you can't, control where you put your own attention and your own focus, how can you expect the people that work for you? How can you expect your customers, right? If you can't control your attention and your focus, how can you expect your customers to pay attention to your product, to your company, to what you have to offer, right? And it's the same across the board. So I love that one. There's a couple of more bullets here. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to put it in the comments again. Mindfulness may serve as a psychological resource that helps employees accrue positive work outcomes through higher positive affectivity and work-life enrichment. I love that. It's a psychological resource. It's like a source of energy, right? It's another type of energy, right? You've got the physical stamina, you've got the mental stamina, but if you don't have that attention stamina, I think you're missing out, right? And then this last bullet point I like, I love this one. Mindfulness practices can positively impact organizational culture, learning, innovation, and decision-making, countering the detrimental effects of mindlessness in the workplace, right? And we've all seen mindlessness in the workplace, right? And we've all done it. We've all been practitioners ourselves, right? Absent-mindedly doing something. God forbid, we're in the chemical industry, most of us. So, mindlessness is a big deal. A lot of things, are on automatic pilot, and thankfully so. But that lack of mindfulness can have much more serious consequences than just missed business opportunities. So counteracting mindlessness, I think, is a great one, right, for us. So anyway, wrapping it all up, we're going to really kick off our conference in May with something brand new. It's an essential session to really supercharge, to ratchet up the experience that everyone gets from the event, ratchet up the quality of the interactions. I guarantee the quality of those interactions, great as they are, will be even better after we've really put our minds to mindfulness and put our minds to really making sure our attention goes where it's supposed to go. So thanks for your attention. Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it, guys. Check out in the comments the links that I've provided, and I look forward to seeing you all and talking to you soon.